spiritual psychosis is a topic that I think is going to get a lot more traction in the next few years. Why is this? It is because we are seeing mass spiritual awakenings all around the planet. Shit is happening. I will not pretend to know exactly what is going on. I do not know. All I know is that I have gone through this and I've come out on the other side of it, and I would like to help you in your journey as well. My name is Lucas, and this is the beginning of what I hope to be a real movement. So, first thing you need to know is that you are saved. Like, you're good. You're gonna be okay. The summit is written. Future you is doing just fine. You're wondering, how can he say that? He's just on the other side of a screen. He can't just say that it's gonna be okay, that it's promised. It's not me who's saving you, but that's a topic for later. You're going through some shit right now. I'm gonna describe spiritual psychosis, and this may be what you're going through, and I'm gonna talk about different forms of spiritual psychosis because it has a few distinct flavors I've noticed from going through it myself and talking to people who have gone through it. So firstly, spiritual psychosis is what happens typically when a person who is not very spiritually present, who's not really about that life, suddenly has kind of a moment where they're like, oh my God, there's something else. And it can be very sudden, it can be very subtle, but it is the arrival of a new axis of consciousness in you. So you've just been going like this your whole life, and then suddenly just something hits you and you're like, oh wait, there's a y-axis. That's crazy. And this can be very, very jarring if you have no support system, if you don't really have people around you. And so when this new dimension of consciousness arises, a lot of people will start to really cling to signs and symbols, and they'll start to believe that certain futures are destined to happen and unavoidable. And it can be absolutely terrifying, because God is terrifying. Like, this is so far beyond you. And I don't support smoking cigarettes, by the way. I'm just doing it. That's all I have to say about that. Let's talk about a few different forms of spiritual psychosis. Number one is what I call Dune brain. Dune, the novel, is about this fella named Paul Atreides. And Paul has this power where he can see different futures, and he sees them so clearly, and they all lead to destruction. And he feels like he's on an inevitable path towards this. Sorry, I'm used to speaking, I'm used to scripting everything, like, heavily. This is actually the first time I've ever talked on the internet just off the cuff. And yeah, I really hope this helps. But if I, get a little stumbly, it's just because I'm new to this. Dune brain is what happens when you have a very good abstract thinker, very intelligent person who's also very anxious. So you're able to see these paths, these horrible futures, and you know that this is a valid thought that you're having because you see step 1, step 2, step 3, you see the path in front of you and you're like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. And this is a very scary thing. So the salve for this form of spiritual psychosis, I have found, is the following. When you think of a horrible future and you imagine all the steps on this path that could take you to destruction, annihilation, a horrible, horrible fate for yourself, The fact that you just imagined that in such detail, in such specificity, means you get to cross it off now. Like, you just did it in the simulator. So it's not going to happen in real life, because you know all the steps that would lead to that path. And so you can be like, okay, I'm not going to take that path, right? So you can turn that psychosis into a superpower. The fact that you're imagining it means it's not the future. It's just a future, and you're smart enough to see it, which means you're smart enough to avoid it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, form number 2 of spiritual psychosis is what I call, what do I call it? Oh, kind of like a knock on wood mentality, right? So this is the belief that God really isn't that good, that if you get something good, or there's something positive in your life, there must be an equal and opposite negative reaction. It's like, oh, it couldn't be this good. I'm going to have to pay some karmic price for this. This is actually one of the core principles of alchemy. Alchemy says that, to make something, there's going to be an excrement. There's going to be an equal and opposite reaction. This is also the law of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's always going to be a shadow. There's always going to be a thing on the other side of that pendulum. There's always going to be the other shoe dropping at some point. And so this mentality pretty much like messes up the moment, because the moment you get something good, it's like, okay, well, what's the drawback? You must remember that this is not how karma works. This is not how God works. God does not follow the laws of physics. So you think there's going to be a punishment in exchange for the good thing? No. Good begets good, begets good, begets good, begets good. On and on and on. There doesn't have to be another shoe. It really is that good. God really is that good. So that's the first thing you need to know about that. I think it's also partially a self-esteem issue. It's like, do I really deserve good things? And the reality is, if you're having these fears, yeah, you probably have a lot of work to do on yourself. Your subconscious is probably telling you, well, hold on, like, I don't deserve a future that good because, I have all these issues, I have all this trauma. And you're right in that regard. This positive future that I am promising, not I'm promising, but like that is promised to you, it doesn't come easy, right? So just saying, yes, you're saved, you're going to be okay, and you are, take a deep breath. Doesn't mean there's not work ahead of you, but eventually you will get to the point where you can accept good things without condition. Believe that. Okay, the third and final form of spiritual psychosis that I want to talk about is, I think, the most malicious and the most dangerous, and the one that can really, really do damage. And this is certainty psychosis. So it is the belief that, well, it's not even certainty, it's more like you read something or a psychic or something told you that the future was going to be a certain way, and you internalized it and you took that as absolute certainty, right? Because you're an uncertain person in an uncertain world, and so whatever it was, you received a sign, somebody wiser than you or somebody you perceived to be wiser than you told you, oh, actually, the truth of the universe is that we are living in a simulation, or something of that nature, right? Anybody who gives you a certain answer, and they say the universe is this is going to happen, this is the future. I would lump anything urgent in there too. Anytime somebody gives you a definite timeline. And so this is kind of a false salve for your problem. And if you're in a very weak psychological place, like you just experienced this spark of divinity or something for the first time, it can be really, really tempting to just look for the nearest quick answer. It's like, oh, it's reincarnation. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. You got to understand that you are not supposed to know. It's supposed to be a mystery. And anybody who tells you they know exactly what is going on is capping. Nobody knows. It's not meant for us. We are these itsy bitsy mortal creatures. We're not supposed to know exactly what the hell is going on. And so, you know, when you hear, oh, well, the odds that we're in base reality are actually one of the blah, 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 blah. No, don't accept that. And unfortunately, the internet is very, very good at propagating this kind of psychosis. You have a screen in your hand, and there's no imagination to it. It's showing you something, you're reading something, and the way these TikTok algorithms, like I was just on TikTok the other day, and it started trying to like tell me shit, like specific things would happen. I've heard of people being prophesied things by TikTok saying, oh, your future is going to be this and this and that, and you have to do this or this bad thing is going to happen. All of that insistence, all of that certainty is counter-spiritual. You cannot allow yourself to get sucked into that. You have to learn to be okay with the uncertainty of it. The moment you feel yourself getting too certain, too attached to one conception of reality, you're going off the rails, right? And when you start acting in accordance with this, and with any of these delusions for that matter, it can be really hard to break out of that spin because the universe will seem to validate you, right? Because you are tapped into divinity. And that's, I think, the thing people don't realize about spirituality is that there is pure, undiluted spirituality. You know, it's that perfect white light. It's God. It's the singularity of goodness, right? But also, that singularity historically has been fractured into many parts. And so that's where we get polytheistic conceptions of divinity. I think of it like a prism. So pure white light goes through a prism, right? And on the other side comes all of these colors, all of these different personas and versions of divinity. And so you have this pure whatever, right? And, you know, in ancient times, that pure God was subdivided into the river god, the sky god, the sun god, right? They didn't know to link them all back to one thing. But the reality is they must be linked to that one thing. That's what I think the person and the archetype of Jesus Christ did. I mean, I don't think the story of humanity is possible without the person and the archetype of Christ, just because I think he is a focal nexus point for all of consciousness and divinity. But that's kind of a topic for another time. I'm not here to evangelize. You know, I fundamentally just want to help you, but I don't think, I know it is not possible to achieve integration, to achieve synthesis in yourself unless you have a singular God, unless you have, call it the universe, call it whatever you want to call it. If it doesn't all boil up to one point, right? If it is unintegrated, if it's all the colors, if it's all the different versions of divinity, and they are separate beings to you, they are separate powers to you, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to pray to the tree god, and then I'm going to pray to the wind god. It doesn't work. Integration should be your goal. And integration is a word that you're going to hear me say a lot. Integration just refers to the process of becoming one. One in yourself, one in your beliefs. If you're familiar with internal family systems, it's really on the rise right now. It is basically a way of thinking about the mind and the self where you have different personas. So instead of being one self, you actually are a bundle of characters. And these characters come out and take center stage at different times. They, swap out on the wheel depending on the situation you're in. And the characters in your bundle depend on your background. So if you had a really unsafe childhood at home, you most likely have a protector persona. And when you feel unsafe, this protector steps right up and says, okay, we're gonna be strong, we're gonna handle the situation, we're gonna be closed off, right? But then, maybe in a different set of circumstances, the helpless persona comes out, where you just like, oh, I need help, where's my thing? And so, one, recognizing which one you're coming from is first, obviously. Awareness is the lizard running around. I hope he comes over here. Awareness comes first, right? Now, awareness is the first step, and it's certainly not easy, but you can't stop there, right? You could be like, all right, I know all my personas. I can identify where I'm at, which one I'm in. I've effectively diagnosed myself, right? But don't stop there. You need to integrate them into a single point, that is you, or else you will be perpetually fractured. So that's gonna be the central theme of what I'm doing on this channel, is just trying to help people reach a more whole and balanced sense of self. I'm still learning this stuff, and this is gonna be a journey for me too. I just know that as a person who has succeeded in the yapping world, and I consider myself to be pretty competent with articulating stuff, and I've gone through this spiritual journey, I am uniquely equipped to talk about this and to help people through this. So, final thoughts on the topic of spiritual psychosis, because I don't want to make this video too long. There's going to be more in the future. I'm going to I probably won't read comments just because I get self-conscious and I'll start overthinking it. So I'm sorry if I don't respond to nothing. But I hope this is resonating with you. And you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to be good, dude. The world is good. It is crazy to me how some people will argue with you tooth and nail that the world is bad. Like, that'll be their argument. I'm just like, no, actually, I think it's going to be okay. And they'll be like, oh, but did you see the thing? I can't believe the government, blah, 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 blah. Don't you understand? It's bad. Come on, join my shitty reality. Join it. Validate me. Validate the fact that everything sucks, because they want everything to suck. They want you to acknowledge that their world is shit. Because if you do that, then they can relax and they can be like, oh, whew, okay, I'm glad everything sucks. Because if it didn't, then I would be wrong. And nobody wants to be wrong. But the world does not suck. You do not suck. You might be in a really shitty place right now. You might be absolutely scrambled. You might have nowhere to go with this. It's going to be okay. A few more notes, because I don't know when I'm going to do the next video. Signs. I want to talk about signs real quick. Basically, this is just the act of using a framework of symbols that is unique to you as kind of indicators of whether or not you're doing something correctly or whether or not you need a course correction. If you are seeing bad signs, you do not understand signs. There are no bad signs. There are like, yeah signs, and there are, wait, hold up, don't do that. Those are the only kinds of signs. You will never see a sign that it's like, it's doomsday, or like a sign that you're gonna die. Because like, one, why would God do that? Why would he taunt you by like prophesying horrible things? That would be insane, right? So that's not what it's about. If you are, the only signs that matter are the obvious ones, right? So don't go looking around for validation from the universe, right? You're good. Try to cultivate a sense of presence Try to really feel your body. You know, so much of this is below the neck. And I mean, there are a lot of things that have helped me in my journey. One of them was I did the Hoffman process in Petaluma back in November. And that really like helped me get my head on straight and get a future for my life. And, you know, find mentors, find people who get this stuff. I know there aren't many of them. I really wish that I could, well, I'm gonna set up some kind of hotline for this, right? Because it is such a slippery slope. Because remember, you are playing with divinity, but it is possible to mismanage divinity. So if you're experiencing things that are like really spiritually powerful, but that seem off, that seem askew, they are. Like you are experiencing a fractured and unintegrated form of divinity. You're not crazy, all right? You're not crazy. This stuff is real. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you will. You just need to cultivate a more singular sense of presence. Don't panic. It's gonna be all right. This is a long and grueling journey, I won't lie, but the summit is written. The end is good. All right, we don't need any martyrs. The age of martyrs is over. All right, we need good people who can cultivate themselves to spread good to the people around them. That's what the game is now, you know? It's not a war. It's not. We've had enough of that. We've had enough bullshit. It's time to build the new earth. That's all I got today. God bless. High power.